So excited to talk to you about the show. I loved it. I binged it and it
Oh,
was
wow.
so good. I guess my first question to you is what excited you the most about getting to focus on a younger iteration of Sherlock Holmes? Like, what was your personal connection to this character?
I think what for me was you take on something like this and it's quite sort of daunting because it's Sherlock Holmes, right? And what I loved was that because we're doing a younger Sherlock Holmes, it's a bit of a blank page. Now we know where he ends up, right? But because we're not taking stories from the canon, we're not taking stories from the Conan Doyle stories, it gives you a bit of a playground to play in and a bit of a sort of a freedom. And that was the thing, like what makes this man become this man was the question that started everything. But creating a sense of a space that you can play in, that was the most fun thing for me. And the most personal thing, I mean, I don't know. I think we're all in some version, we're all a mess in some way or other, right? And I love the fact that Sherlock, who's this incredible character, started off rough around the edges and a mess and couldn't find his way, and clearly a brilliant mind, but didn't know how to use it. And I just love the sort of energy of that, and that was something I just found really interesting to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk to you about episode 5. That was one of my favorites, and it really focuses on,
My favorite too.
like Sherlock's trauma and mystery surrounding his family. Can you share a little bit about writing that episode?
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite episode. And funny enough, when I started that episode, there were quite a few people who were like, wait, what? You know what I mean? You've got this great show, it's caper, everyone's having fun, you're going to stop it and tell a story that doesn't have lots of action, and what's wrong with you? Um, but that episode was always super important to me. And I knew very, very early on that I wanted to deep dig into the trauma of that family. That was sort of the thing that was the most personal for me, and it's the one weirdly it's the episode I'm probably most proud of. And yeah, I love shows that take a left turn sometimes. You know what I mean? I love shows that I always remember the Fly episode in Breaking Bad, which was one of my favorite ever episodes of anything ever, and that do something a little bit different, you know. And I wanted to do that for this show because I felt that as much as I love those early episodes, if we did that every episode, I think me as an audience member I'd be like, okay, I want something that takes me by surprise a little bit. And I'm fascinated. We talked to a lot of the journalists on this junket have binged the series, and I always ask them what their favorite episode is. And 85% of the time, it's 5. So I find that incredibly rewarding for me.
Definitely, because you wrote it, and I think that's so special. I guess my last question to you is, the character of Moriarty changes a lot, I think, throughout the series, and then at the end, he has a little bit of a different stage of like how he sees his relationship with Sherlock. I wonder, like, what do you think is on his mind by the finale?
I think Moriarty's sort of awakening. That's what I think. I don't think he doesn't start out as the big bad. You know, he has obviously this thing in him. When I talk to the boys about it, I'm always like, you're sort of two sides of the same coin. And if we're lucky enough to keep going, and I hope we will be, I really want to push that idea more, that why one turns to the dark side and one doesn't. It could easily have been, there's a great line in I think it's the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, where he says to Watson, I would have been a great criminal mastermind. And that idea that um, it's quite an easy thing in life sometimes to make a decision that sends you down one path and not down another. So that's something I really want to explore with the two of them. But by the end, I think, look, I genuinely think he loves Sherlock. I genuinely think that's a great friendship. So the question is, how does he keep that friendship going, given that there's an element of sort of mistrust creeping in between them?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Matthew. It was lovely to talk to you
You
today.
too. Thank you for your time. Take care.